All right, St. Louis. I want to say good evening to all of you in St. Louis, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, etc. You know what, St. Louis, I'm beginning to come to an understanding of what's actually going on. I'm trying. You know, when you think about how old you are, but yet the body itself doesn't last. It's like the body is falling apart at a certain time. In other words, if you categorize it in years, after about 80, 70 plus years or 60 plus years, the body starts to decline, probably sooner than that. The question we must begin to ask ourselves, why is the body declining? In other words, the cells are mutating, making bad copies of themselves, and as a result, the body can't perform in the manner in which it's capable of performing if it didn't have problems. We got problems, and I truly believe it's because we haven't fully matured in mind to be able to understand how we can regulate the body. And I'm one to believe that the mind itself, being that the mind is not developing strong enough to stop the decay continues, and as a result, neurological problems happen. We begin to see things that are not there, but they appear to be there to those that are seeing because they're hallucinating. And they call it all kinds of things, from bipolar, schizophrenic, all types of different mental disorders. But I want to believe that we all, as a human species, are affected by that mental disorder. It's just that some of us may have it a little more severe than others, and as a result, we focus on those that have it more severe and consider them to be mentally challenged. But yet I believe that 100% are mentally challenged. In other words, imagine yourself being inside of an enclosed system. It's enclosed, and you can't leave the system because it's enclosed, but you never knew it was enclosed because you were born in the system. Your mother was born in the system. Everybody from the beginning of creation was born in the system. And as a result, the mind never reached a level of awareness to know that it was incomplete. And as a result, it started serving deities based upon its inability to understand the truth and its lack of knowledge. So subsequently, it began to hallucinate. Not only that, those that were teachers were also suffering from mental disorder. So they were leading the mentally challenged. The mentally challenged are leading the mentally challenged. So they're going nowhere. Blind leading the blind. So they died in the system. The laws of thermodynamics, entropy increases, chaos and disorder. They came up with all kinds of things in the system, from general relativity with Einstein, special relativity, energy equals mass at the speed of light. But they say it was impossible for you to reach the speed of light, because if you could reach the speed of light, you wouldn't have enough power to continue, because you will continue on. But what they failed to realize is those that literally came up with the formulas were incomplete. Then you got Warren Heisenberg, who stated that it's impossible to measure a position, the position and the velocity of an object. So if you can't measure the position and the velocity of an object, you can't truly get the truth, because the view is distorted because you have not the ability to measure it. So as a result, that's going to cause you to live in a false perception of reality, and that's going to be your reality, but yet you're living in darkness, and unbeknownst to you, you think you know the truth, because those around you are also dying. They're perishing, they're decaying. So as a result, nobody makes it out of the system, and as a result, the system becomes their home. Subsequently, the body breaks down, the mind changes, sinks further into darkness, and as a result, the light has completely went out. And subsequently, they're now placed in the grave. They don't have the technology strong enough to be able to detect a heartbeat. So as a result, based upon them not detecting a heartbeat, they've already established the fact that the person is dead. But yet, is it possible that they hadn't reached the level of development to know that the person's still alive, but the person can't necessarily encode the information that's at the beginning, which is 13.8 billion light years away? Think about it for a second. The closest star is Proxima Centauri, or Alpha Centauri, which is about 4.2 light years away. 1 light year is about 6 trillion miles. So we're talking about a little over 24 trillion miles. That's a nice little distance. That's going to take that light coming from that star to hit you. Is probably going to take about 4 hours before it hit you, just like the sun is roughly 93 million miles away. It takes 8 minutes to hit your retina before you know the heat. So subsequently, that tells me you're living in the past. You're living in darkness and you don't even know it. Is it possible that 13.8 billion light years ago is us becoming that star? A star is born, and as a result, we can literally light up the earth. And as a result of lighting up the earth, we can bring Neptune, which is literally takes 165 years to orbit the sun one time, and the earth takes 365 days to orbit the sun one time. So that tells you if it's 365 days to orbit the sun one time, that's 80 years life expectancy. But Neptune takes 165 years one time. So 80 times 165 years will give you a lot of life. Is it possible that we have been creating deities, gods that are not gods? Is it possible we establish religion? Is it possible we've been following the line? We're making these pastors rich, but at the result of being rich, they thinking the money is about something, but yet they're still dying, they're still perishing. They got the big houses, big cars, but they have no level of intellect. They have no mind, and subsequently we're following them. Is it possible we're all following cults, occultists, because our mind never left the pot in which it was dwelling in, the poison? I want to believe that's the case. I want to believe that we are illiterate. We're no different than a caveman. No different than a caveman. In other words, the Neanderthals that came before us, we thought they were primitive. The question is, what are they going to say that come after us? What are they going to say about us? Another 2,000-3,000 years, somebody show up and say, man, those guys in the 21st century were like children, illiterate, unintelligent, educated fools, but yet thought they knew something, but yet they knew nothing. We are unfortunately in trouble. In other words, we're actually trying to come up with ways of making things better for us. But if you're dying every day based upon your body decaying because your mind is not strong enough to keep it from decaying, in other words, if your mind was truly strong, the body wouldn't do what it's doing. Subsequently, the body would have the same sound as the mind, one sound, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, first and the last, which will change the reality. We are in trouble. I'm not trying to be super intelligent. I'm not trying to be normal. I'm trying to come to the realization of what the hell is going on. And I'm one to believe that we have not yet figured this out. I'm one to believe that 170 plus countries around the world are following false doctrine. Lost. We've established and gave credence to these men and women that are leading us, but they're leading us nowhere because they're illiterate as well. You got blind leading the blind. We established our own countries inside a prison. Basically, can you imagine someone being in Leavenworth or some prison and they don't know anything outside the prison, so they establish all kind of rules and laws and religion, all kind of houses and cars and trains and planes and mental institutions and hospitals. Then they got to keep everybody safe. They'll establish policemen, firemen, security guards and everything else because everybody's going crazy. If we could lead the system, we would subsequently come to realize that we hadn't finished the course. The time is not tomorrow. The time is today for us to say all or nothing. I refuse to take the back seat to no one, period. I'm going to fight for mine, and I'm going to fight for yours. Stay tuned. New damn sheriff in town, and I don't play the radio. You can receive me if you want, or you can deny me. But yet, fear not. The time is now to take that damn mountain. And when we take that mountain, we're going to turn on our light and let the world know a star is born. God bless. Time is now, St. Louis. Playing games long enough. Time is now. I'm not playing the radio. Trust me. Either with me or against me. Stay tuned.